No, you don't need to blink again, and no, you're not dreaming. The Los Angeles Valiant, a team that went 0-7 in Stage 1, did beat the juggernauts of the Overwatch League, the Vancouver Titans. But how? Now, the Valiant did have a couple of breaks go their way, no question. But it also took some fantastic coaching and brilliant play from the Valiant players to pull it off. It all starts with the good. The Valiant are coming into this match with the advantage in terms of information, scouting, and player reports. Reminder, the Valiant just picked up 2 new players to play for them in Shax and Fact Fiction. Add to that, Kareev going over to the Ana and playing out of his mind absolutely helped the Valiant cement the win. Now, if there's one thing the Vancouver Titans are incredibly good at, it's not making mistakes. You can't just wait around for them to beat themselves, you have to create opportunities for yourself. Enter break number 2, Sombra. Sombra, there's one thing that is just basically her forte. It's absolutely creating instances where your team just doesn't have the advantage. Hack, EMP, generation, forcing the lack of information as she roams around the battlefield, just learning about what's happening in the back line. And on top of that, the Los Angeles Valiant did something no other team has done yet. Forced the Vancouver Titans to play off their tempo and away from their own style. If you think about it, up to this point, the Vancouver Titans haven't changed how they play at all. Sure, their individual plays might change and they may have a play that just works against a certain team. But if you think about it in terms of changing their style, no team has done that to this point. Even when they lost to the SF Shock in stage number 2 in the playoffs, the Shock just played a better 3-3 than the Titans. And that helped the Shock, of course, but the Titans haven't had to change their style. Los Angeles Valiant are arguably the best Sombra Goats team right now, and the Titans had to change up how they played in match against them, against an opponent they hadn't really researched and didn't have the opportunity to research, as to this point, they haven't played a whole lot, and they haven't played against very strong teams either. With that out of the way, let's take a quick look at what actually helped Valiant win, and that comes into play in the later 2 stages of the map. Before that though, we have to take a quick look at what the LA Valiant did on maps number 1 and 2 that set the stage for how they played out the remainder of the series before taking the win. Starting off on Oasis, of course, the Titans held control. They held the advantage in terms of how quickly they wanted to play, they held the compositional advantage, and in general, the Titans were able to continue to play Bumper in the same aggressive style that he's always familiar with. It ends in a very handy 2-0 as they take the rounds 100-99 and then 100-47, so that really doesn't fall into anything later in the series. But it does set the stage for what we're about to see, namely, their third break, or So-Min-Soo off of Zarya. So-Min-Soo has been known for being a fantastic Zarya this season. At his worst, he's only the second best Zarya in the league, behind just Sinatra, and that's at his worst. If you think about his highs, he's a fantastic player. But a concern has always been his hit scan capability, with his flexibility being called into question way back from Contenders Korea all the way into this season as well. So, we saw So-Min-Soo on Soldier, and we saw him on Sombra in map number 1, and that bleeds into map number 2, where, and this is a key part of why they end up losing the series, they struggle to make the DPS composition work. With the Sombra Genji, they don't really find any foothold, and switching to 3-3, they get stymied on point number 2 by the Sombra. This, however, can all be chalked up to the fact that the Titans haven't had the best showing on Assault this stage. In fact, especially on Paris, their win rate has looked pretty poor, both in fight and actual map win percentage. So I guess after this map, we start the halftime 1-1, and it looks about even. One map going handily to the Titans, one map going handily to the Valiant. But here's where it all falls apart. Map number 3, Eichenwald. And again, you see the LA Valiant opening up with the Sombra, but a key mistake here, a key problem for the Titans, is that they're so worried about the strength of the Sombra play, rightfully so in my opinion, that they start So-Min-Soo off the Zarya and on the McCree. And this is the start of the end of the series, here in the third map on the first fight. It all comes down to this. We highlighted earlier the fact that the Titans don't make a ton of mistakes, but that is not exactly true. There's a fine line between hyper-aggressive and feeding, and here is where we start to see that particular statement come into play. The LA Valiant start the first point off as you do with most Sombra play, and that's with the hack. If you can get a hack on a high priority target and then burst them down before anything can happen to them, before any defensive abilities are able to be brought into the fold, you've won the fight. And with how aggressive we know Bumper likes to play, you can see the Los Angeles Valiant focus their pressure onto Bumper. Here's where mistake number 2 comes into play though. And that's because, again, the Zarya we highlighted earlier isn't even in play right now. They have a McCree instead. Bumper is forced into a no-win situation. Does he play as aggressively as the Titans are expecting him to, running to the enemy team and forcing a mistake from the Valiant? Or does he play passively and wait for the LA Valiant to walk into them so they can clean up? Here what ends up happening is that the hack goes through, and the LA Valiant, they burn through the resources that the Titans are capable of bringing, and namely, the Zarya bubble is not there. So there's no burst damage prevention, and Bumper and the rest of the Titans fall all down in these early moments of the fight. And the Valiant never allow the Titans to regain their foothold. After point A, they lose out the fight on the first part of point B, and the EMP just helps to snowball things into third, where the Valiant clean up. There is brilliant healing, no doubt, from the LA Valiant's players, and the tank play from Fact Fiction was absolutely fantastic, no doubt about it. But in this particular regard, it's the EMP controlling the tempo of ult economy that allows the Valiant to snowball and steamroll through Eichenwald on their attack run, ending with over 4 minutes in the time bank. An impressive performance, and they have the second fastest capture time on Eichenwald of all time in the Overwatch League. But here's where the series actually falls out of the Titans' hand, when it's their turn to attack. They take point A with relative ease, but then they're unable to really control the return tempo. They're unable to ever bring back their ultimate usage, their ultimate economy, in a place where the Titans are ever able to break through the Valiant. And they end up not even completing the map. So this is back-to-back maps now where the Titans have not completed or captured the full map. Map number 4 comes up next, and here is the last chance the Titans have of being able to close out the series and draw to a 5th map. The LA Valiant take the attack first, as up to this point the losing team has always defended, and they sort of struggle. They make their way through point A, but it's a very hard fight, and only the back of some, again, fantastic EMP play are the Valiant able to close it out. Heading into the 3rd point, a ton of time is whittled off the clock, so sub 2 minutes remaining. But again, the Los Angeles Valiant, they do close it out, and it's their turn to defend. The Titans, they start off with some DPS compositions, and they make it look pretty easy for them to take point A, as they kind of get through no problem, but they get stalled out yet again, being unable to take full control of the tempo, something they're used to having, and they're unable to switch it up, and they're stuck playing a very passive style into the Los Angeles Valiant. To sum up, the Los Angeles Valiant take good scouting, more information, and understanding of EMP and Sombra to be able to close out the win against the Titans in a very strong fashion. Of course, you have, as I highlighted with at the very beginning, fantastic play from their DPS, from their tanks, and from their supports, but in the end of the day, they controlled the tempo where Vancouver Titans could not. And that is only the 2nd time that's happened in Overwatch League history. Against the San Francisco Shock first, and then again here with the Los Angeles Valiant. Now, if you're a Titans fan, should you be worried about this? And I think the answer is no, because as Los Angeles Valiant won out the map in Dorado, you could see that even with those momentary glimpses, the Titans were able to learn how the Sombra worked and were starting to mount comebacks against it. If I had to guess, I would make a pretty safe bet that by this time next stage, in stage 4, the Vancouver Titans will have understood how to play against or with their own Sombra and be able to close it out, winning every single one of their matches. For the Valiant, though, you got to be happy with your team's performance and the fact they came out swinging against the best team in the Overwatch League and made them look absolutely silly. So, it's that simple. Have a fantastic Sombra, have a good understanding of how the enemy team is played, and you use those 2 facts to the fact that you can win every match out here. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments or concerns, leave them down below. A like is always appreciated, and for more Overwatch content, subscribe to Esports.